Hello guys and welcome to Bhai Championship round 4, which is China. The previous round, if you guys missed it, was the Vietnam Grand Prix. So there I ended up second and solo ended up just outside the points, stealing my fastest lap. So if you guys are new to Bhai Championship, it is a championship I do with my cousin solo. Just before the actual leagues start. So this is like just a small bit of practice for us and to see where we stand pace wise. So coming into this round, I was quite confident because previously in Bahrain I got the victory and in Vietnam I got second place. So I was quite confident coming into this race. So as I mentioned before, we do 25% races and we do one shot quali without any setups. So we go out on the default setup, which is not a good feeling. I just change my brake bias and sometimes my differential, which is allowed even on fixed setups. So let's get into qualifying. So taking you around a lap in China, the DRS opens before starting the quali, and in this corner turning at the 50-meter board and trying to hit the first apex, but we do not, and managing to hit the second apex quite cleanly. And in this corner you can take two lines, both the lines will give you a good exit, and keeping the car nice and straight for this braking zone at the 100-meter board, but we go in a bit deep, but we get a good exit without a lot of wheel spin, and hugging the curb on the inside for this corner and for the next corner as well. You do not want to go wide in this corner or you lose a bit of time. Braking nice and easy and hitting the apex and running wide on the curb and hitting the apex again and managing to keep it on the track. And for this corner you have to brake at the 100-meter board and hitting the apex and going on the curb on this corner, and it is very crucial to get a good exit off of this corner so your straight line speed and acceleration won't be compromised. Opening the DRS at the right time and going into this corner, we brake around the 100-meter board, but we go in deep, which is definitely not good for us. We make far too many mistakes in this qualifying, and for this corner braking around the 50-meter board and turning in as early as possible so that you don't run wide, and going across the line you can see solo gets pole position. We end up in second place. Made quite too many mistakes in this qualifying lap, especially in the third sector. So as you can see, the lap times now just after this window goes away. As you can see, we are 2/10 off the pace, and if you see the sector times, it is very similar to solo in the first and the second sector. We completely lose it in the third sector by quite a bit because we made a huge mistake going into the braking zone of the straight. We go very deep, which we shouldn't do at all, which can lose you a lot of time. So now let's just jump straight to the race. This is the strategy we were running. We both had the same strategy by default, which was in the fourth lap, so we had to decide on our own which lap we are going to pit. Then we decided to go like whoever is in the first gets to go to the pit first. Now 4 lights, 5 lights, and off we go. I get a very good start. As you can see, I've already taken solo in the first before even reaching the first corner, so which is a very good thing for me. So he was quite surprised as well the way I launched off the line. Now it was very crucial for me to stay out of his DRS zone. For me to stay out of his DRS zone So as you can see, breaking into this corner, Solo puts a dive down the inside at the last moment, and we don't actually see him, and we see the red arrow of his. So he gets the position on us, and we are trying to chase him now. We go on the inside and we go on the outside for this corner. We go on his inside for the next one, and we squeeze him out wide, and we get the position on him, and he comes on the inside. We go a bit wide here, and we are side by side going into this corner, and we brake a bit earlier. I think he gets hit by a Ferrari from the back, which puts him a bit it puts him in the third place, where he lost quite a bit of time. And coming across the line, we are almost 2.5 seconds ahead of Solo. It's 2.3 now. So now we have already done the job of staying outside. The DRS are staying ahead by a second. So now we just have to concentrate on our pace, and we have to ensure we stay in front. As you can see, the tires are quite heated up here. China is a track where your tires can get worn out quite quickly. So my temperatures had gone up by a huge bit compared to Solo's tires. His tires were not that heated up compared to mine, and as you can see, we set the fastest lap. Okay, now Solo sets the fastest lap. Now skipping ahead on the straight, this is the third lap of the race. I think he goes to the pits here so that he can get an undercut on us. The actual pit window was supposed to be the next lap, which by position I would have gotten to go first, but he decides to jump into the pits on the third lap, so he's going to be pulling an undercut on me. So as you can see, he is in the pits, and we have our pit window this lap. So skipping ahead, we are straight away gonna go into the pit now, and let's hope to come ahead of Solo. We are obviously gonna be put in a bit of traffic because the back runners wouldn't have pitted. So going into the pit, having a nice and a clean stop, we come out without anyone blocking us. Okay, as you can see now, where is Solo is the main question. Solo is just crossing the finish line behind the Williams, and we come out of the pits quite ahead of him. But no, he goes in between myself and the Williams, and I was just about to lose it coming out of the pit exit, but we luckily managed to keep it on track. Now it was very crucial for us to get past Solo as soon as possible. So there was a high chance of it happening in this lap because he was held up by traffic as well in front of me. And as you can see, he has an X mark next to his name, which means it shows that he is disconnected, but actually he wasn't. As you can see, we are going side by side, and suddenly he is ahead of me now. We made a bit of contact, but he ghosted, but he felt the contact. He somehow manages to get past Grosjean before the straight. I am side by side with Grosjean on the straight, but I have DRS, which is a good thing. Now we are going after Solo, and it is crucial to get past as soon as possible, but he dives down Magnussen's inside, and he tries to get the move done, but his line is compromised by quite a bit, which puts us almost side by side with him. We still try to brake a little earlier, but a bit later, but we can't manage to do that. But now we get him on the straight, the DRS and overtake enabled, and we managed to get ahead of him and skipping ahead of the lap. We are still ahead of him by almost 2 seconds, but we have another car in front of us, which is Giovinazzi. Let's hope he goes into the pit ASAP. Okay, now he heads into the pit, which is a good thing for us, giving us his DRS as well. Now we don't set the fastest lap of the race. Currently Solo holds it, and as you can see, the gap to Solo is still 1.6 seconds. We are not literally pulling away from him, nor he is closing in to us. As long as we manage to keep him outside our DRS zone, it'll be a great thing for us. And now coming across the line on the 7th lap, we are 6 tenths off our pace, and he is 2.5 seconds behind us. As you can see, every lap we are almost pulling away by half a second from Solo. So coming on to the straight, I think he was struggling with the space on this track. But the only thing I struggled with were my tire temps, and as you can see now, it is 106 degrees Celsius, which is a lot. The car literally doesn't turn in, as we said, the fastest lap of the race. The car literally doesn't turn in on 110 degrees Celsius. We get a lot of understeer, and as you can see, I went out quite a bit wide compared to the normal racing line, but we just got compromised by a bit with our gap to Solo. And skipping ahead to the 9th lap, we are still managing to keep the gap very consistent. Now at this point we were saving our ERS so that we can go for another fastest lap at the end of the race, so that Solo doesn't steal it from us like the Vietnam Grand Prix. Fuel, I had a lot of it, so I didn't really have to worry about it, but the only thing I had to worry about were my tires. ERS I would have managed to save somehow, but the tires were getting thrashed lap after lap, and my temps were going higher and higher. But 110 is max in this game, I feel. So skipping ahead, I think this was our fastest lap. No, this wasn't our fastest lap. As you can see, we go red in the second sector as well, and the gap to Solo has come down by quite a bit. As I mentioned before, I was saving my ERS. We are up to around 70% ERS at this point, but my tires are heated. I was trying to get those temps down so that when I went for the fastest lap, it wouldn't be much of an issue. So we are managing to get the temperatures down by quite a bit, and as you can see, the gap is reduced to 1.7 seconds. We are trying to go as smooth on the steering as possible, but I was really struggling to do so, and saving up a lot of ERS as well. That really reduced our pace by quite a bit. So as you can see, still just outside our DRS zone. The gap to him is 1 second exact. So now braking at the 100-meter board, we get a good turn in and a good exit, and still the gap to him is 9/10 of a second. I think he manages to get our DRS at this point. I think now we go for the fastest lap. We are going to stay on board for this lap, braking in nice and tidy, hitting the first apex and the second apex as well, and hugging the curb, trying to hug the curb, but I get a bit of understeer and my car slides wide, and as you can see, Esteban Ocon is out of the session. He is closing in on us by quite a bit, but we go red down in the first sector, but braking nice and tidy for this one and getting a good exit off of here. And as you can see, the gap to Solo has been increased once more, which is a good thing because he stays out of my DRS. The gap to him is 1.3 seconds. We are trying to really get a good second sector here. We do this section very neatly, and I was quite surprised myself. And as you can see, crossing the second sector, we get a purple, and we are up by 2/10 on our personal best. And as you can see, the gap to Solo has increased as well. And coming on to the straight, we get a very good exit, and we have a lot of overtake with us so that we can deploy it and get good top speed as well. And we have a lot of fuel with us. And coming on to this braking point, we brake nice and tidy on the 100-meter board, getting a good exit off of here. Let's see what the lap time is going to be now. We go a bit wide on the exit of this corner, but we don't really lose a lot of time, but we don't gain it either. And we do a lap time of 1:35.4, which is quite a good time. And we are ahead of Solo by 1.3 seconds. And this is the penultimate lap of the race. He is closing in on us, and we have a bit of ERS to play with.
This is your final lap.
As you can see, he is very close to us. He is definitely in our DRS, but we have a bit of overtake here to use. We do this section quite nicely, and we get an okayish exit off of this corner, and we are ahead of him by nearly 5 tenths, but he is still in our DRS zone. And we go green again, but we don't have a lot of overtake to deploy on the straights like we did in the previous lap. As you can see, the gap to him is around 6 tenths now. We are pulling away, and this is the final lap. And I don't think he had a lot of ERS to use, because he used all of it in closing up to me. And we go red this sector, but it's down, but we are just down by 1/10 of a second. We don't really manage to get a good exit off of this corner onto the straight, but we have a bit of overtake, but I think definitely more than Solo to use on the straight. So as you can see, the gap to him is increasing, I guess, by quite a bit. I think the gap to him is around 8 tenths now, and trying to get a good exit off of this corner. We get one for sure, and trying to keep it nice and tidy on the exit of this corner, where I've managed to go out wide on a few other occasions. And we complete the race in first and Solo in second, but the gap was around less than a second, I believe. And we get the driver of the day as well. I honestly felt very comfortable on this track compared to Vietnam and Bahrain for sure. If you guys missed the Bahrain Grand Prix, you can go check it out. It was my previous before the Vietnam Grand Prix. And as you can see, the standings of the race. He is 4 tenths slower than us. Solo is 4 tenths slower than our fastest lap, which is quite close. And as you can see, the driver's standings now. I am in the first place with 71 points, with Solo in fourth with 52 points. And skipping to the constructors, we are in the first place for sure. And apologies for not showing the screen for a longer time. And so the next race is going to be the Dutch Grand Prix, so stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching this video.